My name is Jonathan Copeland. Me and my wife Carly run the food truck at 8 Hands Farm and make a lot of the prepared foods and soups and jams and granolas that you see inside the farm store.
The food truck was here before we started. It hadn't opened. Last year was its first season. We opened up the weekend before Memorial Day weekend, and we're here every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We start serving breakfast at 9, and then we switch right over to lunch right at noon. There's really no closing time, so it's kind of, you know, as fast as we can, put away breakfast and then pull out lunch, and then we'll start cooking up lunch right at noon until 3, and we'll be outside until the end of October, and then we'll be moving inside where we have like a little cafe set up.
They're very, very talented. Their food has such wonderful flavor, but it's also, the ingredients stand up for themselves as opposed to being masked. Like, you really get the essence of the underlying ingredients when you eat something that they produce. They're really, really hardworking. They're very committed to what we're doing and have a true appreciation, because anyone that works for us has to be on board with what we're doing here and has to be able to appreciate the uniqueness of it.
Very unique. In this day and age, like, even there's a diner back home where I grew up where they sort of co-opted the farm to table sort of slogan and mantra, and I would say that, you know, it's become somewhat cliche, but this really is farm to table. Like, we are on a farm using the product that we raise and grow and pick and, you know, and cook all ourselves and serving it to people right here on the farm. I mean, it really, this is not made up, you know.
The chickens, pork, and lamb, all from the farm. And that would definitely be like the one thing that I want folks to like really understand. Like, not only are the vegetables coming from here, but they're like, the meat is also raised right here. I sometimes think when people come up, they just see that it's a food truck and they're like, oh, cool, but like, they're actually eating something that we've taken care of and has been right here.
We raise a really beautiful Icelandic breed of sheep, and it's funny, we actually get some people who come out here who grew up in Iceland because they like just want to come and see the sheep because it reminds them of home. It's pretty cool. So this is the herb garden. It evolves over the season. We come out here and we have all different types of oregano and marjoram, basil, sage, parsley, cilantro. So this whole garden right here is about 1.5 acres, and we have everything from you know, several different types of canning tomatoes and heirloom tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, all the way down to hot peppers, sweet peppers, poblano peppers. Greg, our farmer in residence, you know, asked us what we wanted to cook with and grew the things that we wanted. So we have eggplant, squash. In the fall, we have, you know, coming up now, we have like kabocha and butternut squashes and Brussels sprouts, Napa cabbage. It's awesome.
I think it's every chef's dream to be able to like go out and like, oh, I need some more chives, I need some more parsley, or just to walk out to the garden and, you know, you're not picking up a telephone and calling a purveyor for it. You're actually getting to go out and pick those fresh herbs, fresh vegetables, and use them right away, knowing that, you know, a small little community here at 8 Hands, we've taken a lot of efforts to make sure, you know, the product is wonderful and great and taken care of.
We would really like to just see it become one of those things where maybe we could open it for another, you know, right now we're only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but maybe becomes a big enough demand where we're open Thursday through Sunday or Wednesday through Sunday. Maybe, you know, we have such a demand that, you know, we end up having to raise more animals because, you know, we're so busy. You know, we would really like to bring our food and, you know, the product from 8 Hands Farm to as many people as possible.
Ooh. All right, first bite. I'm gonna judge it by the appearance of it, which is a darker brown, so.
It's a good donut. I think that's the Harbs.
I'm gonna go with this one as a Wickham donut.
A little powdered sugary. Looks pretty good to me.
Tastes different than I thought it was gonna taste, actually.
It's a little doughier, a little less crunchy. Still pretty darn delicious. I'd say number 2 is Wickham.
From the appearance, I was gonna go with that as the Harbs donut.
Our third and final donut.
It's a lot bigger than the other two, a lot of sugar. Let's see what we got. I'm gonna say this is the Junda's one.
That's Junda's for sure. Never had it before, but there's no way it can't be. This is a serious donut. And I'm probably going to finish all of it.
All right, so I finished all my donuts, and I think that my guesses were pretty accurate, so I'm gonna go with what I said initially. The first donut would be a Wickham donut, second donut is a Harbs donut, and I think the third donut was the Junda's donut.
I'm going to stick with my final answers. I'm going Harbs first, Wickham second, and Junda's third. Yes, I knew it. Pretty excited.
Hey, I'm Michael V for Northforker, and we're here today in Greenport Village for the Northforker Cocktail Challenge. We'll be visiting 3 different bars, talking with 3 different bartenders, asking them each to make a specific cocktail using one mystery ingredient. It's up to them to see what they can do. It's up to me to judge it. Hey man,
How you doing?
good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
So, I don't know if you know this, but I'm here for the Northforker Cocktail Challenge.
Yep,
All right, you know what this is about?
I have a little bit of an idea.
All right, so we got a secret ingredient.
Okay.
Nice secret mystery ingredient, kind
Okay.
of theme related. And it's up to you to pull that ingredient and make a cocktail from it.
Sounds good.
Think you're up for the challenge?
I'll take the challenge, but what's the ingredient?
Apple brandy.
Okay, all right, I have it. Apple brandy.
We actually have this really cool apple brandy distilled from local apples called Julius Drover, made by Shinna State Vineyards.
All right, looks good. All right, let's do this.
All right.
All right. Wow, that is really good. That's amazing.
Thank you, sir.
Nice. Yeah, what is in that? Oh man.
Well, how'd I do?
That is something special. Really,
good.
really nice. What's in that?
Good. Well, you said we're using apple brandy. That was the challenge, so I have this Calvados apple brandy. And then, since we're going with something sweeter, I made it a sweet cocktail. It is an apple brandy Manhattan. I added a little bit of Jack Daniel's Fire, which is cinnamon to it. And then a little bit of bitters and a little bit of sweet vermouth like you would in a traditional Manhattan. And then I rimmed it with the cinnamon because if we're going to go sweet, we might as well go all the way.
Sure.
So that's your apple brandy Manhattan.
Start with apple brandy. This is Laird's straight apple brandy. It's been made in New Jersey for a very, very long time by that family. Appleton Estate signature blend, Jamaican rum. Not the big burly pot still Jamaican rum, but fairly laid back, but very flavorful Jamaican rum.
Very familiar with
There you go, I know you are. Zerban Stone Pine liqueur, Austrian, very kind of interesting stuff. Very been made for a long time, very flavorful. And Strega.
Okay.
Strega, kind of a classic member of the Italian aperitivo family.
Well, we started with the apple brandy, and in an effort to bring in some fall flavors, we did a little bit of Canton ginger liqueur, just a touch of maple syrup, and then to balance out some of that sweetness, a little bit of Brooklyn-based bitters from a company called Hella Bitters. That's actually a smoked chili bitters.
Okay.
So it brings in just a little bit of heat and a touch of smokiness.
Very nice. That ginger really is like, it's just an amazing combination with the apple.
Yeah, and it's not too sweet and has just a little bit of heat.
Not overpowering at all. I mean, it all kind of blends together, which is perfect. And this is really just a great fall cocktail.
That's what I was thinking. If we were going to serve something chilled and up, we wanted, you know, if it was going to be this time of year, for it to have some heat to it, to kind of be a slow fall sipper.
Yeah. I don't know about slow, but you know.
Enjoy.
Cheers. Noah really he came out of left field with this thing. Really balanced flavor profile. Andy's cocktail was really spectacular. The presentation on it was like a work of art. Usually I end up more on the boozy side of things and less on the sweeter side of things, but great cocktail nonetheless. If I had to pick one drink out of everything today, that would be my go-to. It would be Evan's cocktail over at Bricks and Ryan. Just a well-made, simple cocktail, completely unexpected, and for me that's something that is really what I'm looking for. I don't want something that I've had over and over again. So if somebody can mix up something using ingredients that I'm not particularly familiar with and just sit there in awe of it, can't ask for anything more.
Hi, I'm Steven Scarnato. My company is Long Island Vine Care, and we take care of residential backyard vineyards just like this one. This property has 3 rows of Chardonnay, 3 rows of Merlot, and 3 rows of Cab Franc. Old Faithful varieties, old staples. This is a great time of year to be walking through any vineyard because the grapes are starting to turn. That's called veraison, when sugar starts coming into the grapes. These vines were planted in 2007, and so they're over 10 years old, so they're really starting to hit their stride. You can see that the canopy is full. We're loaded with fruit. Because of the age of the vines can handle this much fruit. You know, when the vines are younger, you want to baby them, go easy on them, but these vines are just totally balanced. With a lot of the backyard properties, you'll find, because they're usually surrounded by trees, it's kind of like a heat bowl. And so the backyard vineyards will be, even if it's just a couple days, ahead of some of the commercial vineyards. I've been doing this for 10 years in lots of different facets. I was lucky enough to get an internship at Martha Clara. I was looking to get a winery job, but I was too young. So they stuck me in the vineyard. I just fell in love, couldn't help it. Being there, being immersed in it, I realized I wanted to bring that same feeling right to people's homes. Like 2 years into starting the business, I really wanted to quit. But my wife wouldn't let me, and I'm really glad I stuck it out because very slowly I found some really good customers. But that's the point. I found really good customers. And they've let me experiment, they've let me learn, and we've come out with some really good products since then. I have 12 backyard clients, 75% of them on the North Fork, and they're about 2/10 of an acre. So about 200 vines. They'll yield between 200, 300, sometimes even 400 bottles. This is a really cool site. It's one of the few hills that I have. Right, when you think of vineyards, you think of rolling hills, and there's some good reasons for that. That's where vines should be grown. So there's 2 varieties in this field. They're kind of mixed in. There's some Cabernet Franc. So here's your little baby Cabernet Franc leaf. And then right next to it is our Marquette leaf. Here we have all of our Marquette fruit. Let me pick you out a cluster so you can see what these guys look like. Here's a pretty classic cluster this time of year. Some of the customers I have, because they planted a vineyard, then they realized, oh my goodness, this is a full-time job. And it might only be 100 plants, but I think it's more that this is an inconvenience. So people will plant a vineyard and then they'll be like, I gotta call up Steve and I can't do this anymore. So those are great customers because they're grateful that I can help them. But a lot of people want to connect with nature again, and not in some like ultra escapist, but they want to have it at their house where they have their home and then they have a second place. They have a place where their family eats dinner in the middle of the vineyard. Or I have one customer that has a bocce ball court, so that's where all of his friends hang out, in the middle of the vineyard, and it's a cool place to bring people together. Whenever you see a vine that's thriving, it's because you married the site to the grape variety. And so I have some Pinot Noir that I love growing, and it's a really good site for it. I wouldn't want to grow it in a lot of sites. It's a very difficult grape to grow. There's some Cab Franc I have that it's just totally spaced out. It's like 8 feet by 10 feet or something ridiculous. And you can tell the vines can just breathe, and they're so much happier. And so it's things like that, where it's the right vine on the right site. I'd love to crack the code on world-class wine on Long Island, and I think that's going to take some traveling. I have a lot of experience with varieties, but I'd really love to see a lot of the varieties that I grow at home. You know, I have my way of growing them here, but what's it like to grow my Italian varieties in Italy? What's it like to grow Pinot Noir in Burgundy? I get chills just thinking about that.